A life, barbaric and brutal. Chapter 1. Abducted by the Rich Man by Arsenic Belloc. I was born in München's hamlet, just north across the Bourgsac from Evermore. My mother was a weaver, and my father was a boat builder who made small fishing smacks and coracles for the river trade. I remember my youth as a happy one, playing around the docks where father worked, or hunting through the near woods for antolama crabs and hickory nuts. It was while doing the latter one day that I stayed a bit farther from the hamlet than usual, pushing my way through a briar thicket, and suddenly found myself staring at a pair of human skulls. Startled, I shrieked and dropped my basket of nuts. By the time I realized that what I seen was a skull of a staff next to a woman's face, painted like a skull, I'd been knocked down, bound, and thrown over her shoulder. I was being borne away to the north, away from my home and into the mountains. I began to kick and scream. I wished the woman threw me down, bound me tighter, and engaged me into the bargain. Then she resumed carrying me off into the wild. Eventually, I passed out from sheer exhaustion. When I awoke, it was dark, but I could see forms in the dance of firelight, silhouettes sporting horns, bones, spikes, feathers, rich men. I closed my eyes and tried to wake up, but it was no nightmare. When I opened my eyes, they were still there. My gag was gone, so I cried out for water. The skull-faced woman, whom I later learned was named Vorharsh, brought me a cup. She checked my bones, and where I winced in pain, she actually loosened them a little. This surprised me, as I always heard that witch clans were barbarians, wicked Daedra worshippers who revealed in creatures. Maybe once they realized how distressed I was, they would set me free and send me home. It was a false hope. I was to be the captive of the Crow-Wife clan for the next 8 years. The rich men were far more complex than I had been led to believe in my Breton home, but in one thing we were right. Barbarism and cruelty are everyday facts of life in the rich. Volch was a horse breeder who had adopted me because she needed a slave to tend to her livestock, since a former thrall has died of a kick to the head. She had given me water and loosened my bonds solely out of concern for the condition of her new possession. Volch's clan was ruled by a hard-graven named Closdra, a claw-fingered crone who was a witch shaman of considerable power. She was a priestess of Namira, the spirit Daedra, the lady of ancient darkness, who commands repulsive vermin such as spiders, insects, slugs, and serpents. Because Namira is the mistress of small pests, the rich men call her the children's god. They are not without humor. Too, their jests are always malicious. At every 2 moons, Dark Closdra would draw lots of random from the children of the clan, both rich and slave, to select a sacrifice to the goddess of the dark. The chosen child would end up on the ever-housing altar where Closdra would cut off his heart as an offering to Namira. Every time I was sure it would be me, but the name fever drawn was always of another. Closdra's hag husband was a crude and vicious man named Cointhag. He was a grave singer, a witchman shaman who could summon the dead. In our land, we call him a necromancer. He was always looking sidewise at Walsh and linking his lips as a savory roastful. 2. He had power in the clan and was feared by all. Both treated him with disdain, which would sometimes provoke him into sending hood holds into her tent at night, or hexing the horses' holds with wrath thorn. Vosh never turned a hair, just threatened to complain about contact to his hag wife Klostra, which always sent him packing. Life was hard in the rich. Crow wife was a hunting clan, so her life was following the herds across the waste. It was a rugged and perilous existence, where life could be snuffed out in a heartbeat by the antlers of an elk buck or the fangs of a saber cat. But what I fear most were the semi-annual crossing of the Karth River in the wake of the tundra herds. It was my job to help Voch and her useless daughters swim the horses across the ice cold, swirling current, and every time I was certain would be my last. How I wish I had learned to swim in the bullshark like my two brothers whenever the cart had me in its grip. Occasionally, during crossing, one of the horses would panic and break free of us, which usually meant throwing and death for it. Then Vosh and I would search for downstream until we found where its body had washed up, so we could skin and unmake the dead. We could skin and unmake the dead horse for its valuable fat, flesh, and bones. Nothing was wasted among the rich men. It was during my 6th summer, as a slave of the Crow wives, I had crossed the hated cart 11 times, that I began to attract the unwanted attention of Okshnural, the loutish son of Klodra and Kongsark. He expressed his attraction by pushing me into mud puddles or putting dead wolves in my stew. He was a year younger than me, but soon I knew he would want me to the object of more than just practical jokes. As the son of the Argraven, he could do pretty much whatever he wanted with impunity, and Volst couldn't protect me by complaining to Klodra. The old virago would just cackles and wave her away. So at night, when I should have been sleeping in my pile of fools, I started making a spear. So you kill somebody